So in our last video, we took a mooring ball in Annapolis, Maryland, where we visited the town, took in some history, had some nice dinners, and then we took off north on the Chesapeake through the C&D Canal, over to the Delaware River and Delaware Bay to Cape May, New Jersey, town full of beautiful Victorians, and we hung out there, and then we cruised up the inside passage of New Jersey to Atlantic City, and where we spent the final night. In today's video, we leave northern New Jersey and then we head up to New York City, head up through the East River and into Long Island Sound, where we stop in Port Washington, Long Island, then head over to Milford, Connecticut and Old Saybrook areas of Connecticut before we make way to our final destination, which is Newport, Rhode Island. Have you ever dreamed of selling it all and cruising into the sunset? Well, that's exactly what we did. It's no fun going it alone though, so why don't you join us for the ride? So here's a little map of our route today. We leave the Manasquan Inlet in northern New Jersey. We head out into the Atlantic Ocean for a couple hours before we hang a little bit of a left, go in through the bay to New York City, where we pass under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and then we come up and over into Long Island Sound, visit Port Washington, then up to Milford and Saybrook, Connecticut, and finally to Newport, Rhode Island.
As the sun rises, we have friends. Apparently they like Thomas's English muffins for the extra nooks and crannies. One of them's white and 4 of them are black.
So on this very beautiful morning, we are leaving northern New Jersey, the Glimmerglass anchorage, just adjacent to the Manasquan Inlet. And we are following Mike on Easy Riders, who's elected to take the lead this morning out the inlet. Now I don't have any film of it, but when we left the inlet, there were about 6 to 7 foot rollers coming in, swells coming in, and it was pretty hairy, definitely some pucker factor. But Island Time and Easy Riders made it with no troubles. Once we got a few minutes out of the inlet, it calmed down pretty much. We had some swells, but they were on our rear quarter. Not too bad for about a 2-hour trip up to New York City. When we got to the Sandy Hook, New Jersey area, there was a little fog as we turned left and into the bay, approaching the Hudson River, but not too bad overall. I was hoping to be able to see the New York skyline, but it's sort of fogged in as we approached the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. As we passed by Brooklyn, though, the fog began to clear, and we got a nice view of the Manhattan skyline, albeit from a distance. I have to say, though, that it's been a dream of mine to come up or down the Hudson River, and seeing Manhattan from this vantage point gave me the chills. As you can see, there are some anchorages around Lady Liberty. We weren't able to do it, but maybe we'll do it on the return trip to Florida. As we approach the island of Manhattan, we needed to take a right and head up the East River. Now initially, when I was planning this segment here, coming up through Manhattan and the East River, I thought it might be real busy and a lot to watch out for. It actually wasn't too bad. I don't know, maybe because it was a Sunday. One thing you do have to watch out for is the passenger ferries. They haul ass coming up the river, down the river, across the river, and they don't care who's in their way, and they'll throw a huge wake. Heading up the East River, we are going to pass between Manhattan on our left and Roosevelt Island on our right. Interestingly enough, per Coast Guard rules, seaplanes actually have the least right of way and have to give way to everybody, but we certainly gave this one a very wide berth to let it do its thing. From the East River, you pass through Hell Gate over to Long Island Sound. And we saw this unique prison barge that looks to be about 5 stories high. Then we came to the famous Rikers Island prison on the right, which I believe is part of the Bronx. Can hold up to 15,000 detainees, either on pretrial or I think with sentences of a year or less. And just past Rikers, adjacent to it to the east, is LaGuardia Airport. Before long, we dumped into Long Island Sound with Westchester, New York, and Connecticut to the left, Long Island on the right, and our destination of Port Washington for the evening in Long Island.
We had a beautiful 4-hour ride or so today from northern New Jersey past Manhattan, and we're in Manhasset Bay, one of the first couple bays as you get into Long Island Sound. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We picked up a mooring ball. The first day is free. The town provides mooring balls. Just pick up a yellow one here. And it's a really nice bay, really calm, a lot of boats here. You're in Long Island near New York, so a lot of money here. Absolutely beautiful. Here's Easy Riders. And I don't know, we have maybe a gunboat in front of us. $1 million catamaran on a free mooring. First day is free. Town of Manhasset. Weather's a little unsettled this week. They said to watch out. Looks like maybe some thunderheads building over LaGuardia Airport area. We're tucked in, safe and sound.
We canceled our plans to go ashore as the storms broke out right around dinner time. The next morning, we headed away from Long Island towards Milford, Connecticut, across Long Island Sound. It was foggy and sort of nasty the whole way. We definitely needed our radar. As we got closer to the Connecticut shoreline, the fog slightly dissipated, and it was a little bit of a relief.
Beautiful town of Milford. At the Milford Landing. Nice summer flowers. You could walk.
Our friends Alan and Tracy live a short ways away, and Alan was excited to show us his new Blackstone grill.
What is that for? So you want to do like a panini or something like that?
Right, look at that bad boy.
Look at that thing. Go.
Apparently these flat grills with all the accessories are all the rage.
Oh yeah. Couple minutes and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are.
We're leaving. That's our buddy out over there saying hasta la vista, baby. We had a good time in Milford for the night.
Alan got some nice shots of island time leaving the Milford Harbor. Milford was a great place, walking distance to a ton of nice restaurants. We on Island Time recommend Colony Pizza, the best. Leaving Milford Harbor, we took a hard left and headed up towards the Connecticut River, where we were going to put the boat for a few nights and visit some more friends. And turned out to be a cloudy day, not as foggy as the day before, Not terrible, but we did have some beam seas. Pretty cool. We saw the Coast Guard helicopter doing some drills out there and dropping folks into the water. It wasn't terribly choppy, but we were getting seas perpendicular to us, otherwise known as beam seas, and Pancake was not loving it, so she was huddled pretty closely to Lori for the trip. As you can see, we pretty much rocked from side to side for about an hour or two. We passed by Westbrook and Saybrook and came to the Connecticut River, welcomed by a jetty entranceway with a lighthouse. We passed through the breakwater area, and on our left was Fenwick, which is a part of Old Saybrook, where Katharine Hepburn lived when she was alive and used to swim to Long Island Sound every day. We had planned to stay in Westbrook with our friends Seth and Denise for a few days, and they took us to the nearby Westbrook Elks Club, which is situated right on the water, for a lovely night of bingo.
Ready for this?
Playing bingo.
Ready, kids?
Bingo.
Bingo bongo. Popcorn out.
And one, I think.
Ready? Yes, sir. 2, 5, 5, 2.
Nice morning in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. Waiting for the Connecticut River drawbridge, drain bridge to open. Actually, the Old Lime drawbridge. The tender said it would be quick, and then we are off to Newport, Rhode Island. Should be a 60-mile day. Pretty quick, probably about 4 or 5 hours. Should be a nice day. Weather's finally cleared.
You're allowed to anchor in Newport Harbor up to 14 days. Then you have to either take a mooring ball for 4 days or leave for 4 days, and then you can come back again for another 14 days. And then lather, rinse, repeat. Newport itself is quite the sailing mecca, and you have these juniors out almost every day in these little boats. Sometimes there's about 50 of them out at once in these little mini regattas. And we see that they have a number of different classes with different aged kids in them. So quite the sailing schools in this area. These are some larger sailboats, but as you can see, they fearlessly whip through the anchorage and mooring fields, coming really close to the boats. The town itself, with the restaurants and shops, is just a short dinghy ride away, maybe less than 5 minutes. And there are plenty of town docks to put your dinghy at. They also offer launch service if you don't have your own dinghy. Newport is not just for sailors, though. It brings the yachtsmen in as well. Newport is also chock full of racing sailboats as well as old restored boats. And there's many of tour boats coming in and out of the harbor all day long. You can even charter ex-America's Cup racing boats, where they do, I think, boat versus boat competitive racing out in the harbor. The Lobster Pot is a popular tourist restaurant as it's located on a wharf and with nice harborside views. And to the left of it is a nice public area to drop your dinghy and set you into the Bowen's Wharf area, where you're right in the middle of all the action. There's also some limited ferry service to nearby Block Island, and right past the ferry is another public dock for dinghies. And this would be at the north end of the harbor, but certainly very close to many of the restaurants and shops that are within walking distance of this dock. And we got to go to a nearby restaurant called Barcino, that's one of our favorites, and hang out with some good friends. Well, thank you for watching, and that's just a little tease about Newport. We'll cover a little bit more about Newport in our next video, and also take a trip over to Block Island. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to our channel.